I mean, you were an officer, so you were used to being like having full latitude. You're just kind of like the buck kind of stops with me, but I'm also going because I mean, from the time that I knew you in the military, you were very much like, I'm going to go enforce my will on this problem until it's done. And I think that for a lot of people in the military, we we do that. Like that is a thing that you are capable of doing and um with individuals in the military, kind of like you just said, like there really is you really do have the ability to be like, we need to get this done, so we're gonna get it done. And like someone's like, I don't want to, and you're like, shut up, we're getting it done. Like that's the and especially as an officer, like that's you, but now you're an individual contributor. Uh, so what has that transition been like for you where you really are singularly focused in the civilian world, whereas as an officer, you really could kind of stick your nose into everything because we never really had this like guiding purpose. So like how has that transition been for you where it's really like, hey, you solution stuff for customers. That's it.
So the willing thing, like you mentioned, like, yeah, I pretty much could just will things into existence with the way on the military side. Um, I will say that happened more, like I tried to focus that more up than the people I manage. So it was, all right, the people I manage, I need to really figure out how to influence them and get them bought in. But I didn't have a whole lot of, I mean, you know this. I didn't have a whole lot of patience for people or blockers that were at the same level or above. It was like, I'm just going to bulldoze it and will my way through this. That's the part that I've had to temper on the outside is now I have to rely back on some of those things that I learned how to do with like my reports and work on that influence. But instead of influencing down, one of the things I really didn't do well in the military was influencing up and not just being that rock uh, or a bull in a china shop, as I was called a few times. Um, but yeah, it's figuring out how to spin that influence in a way that gets people aligned with you, and that has been a skill that I have been focusing on picking up and refining since my time at Amazon. It's so critical, especially in a sales role. Like I mentioned, I can't make my customers do anything. Like it's literally like this is in your best interest. I need to make you be aware. This is where we need to go and provide you the resources on how to get there, but I can't make you. And so, yeah, that skill has been the most critical skill that I've had to use in this role.
I found it very hard sometimes in my current role because I'm now an individual contributor. Like I I see managerial processes and I go, "Oh, I could fix that." Like cuz that's just how I thought back in the day in the Air Force and now I'm supposed to think like very tactically and it's hard to pull myself out of what I was and accept this is what I am now. And so that's that's definitely something that I'm still working through as I'm working on my transition.
I mentioned earlier that like my onboarding time for CSM is 3 months, so I walk in and I'm like, 3 months to do what? Like write a few papers, put together a presentation. I could do that in like a week. Like, why do you need me to take 3 months on this? And so I start knocking the things out, and like I'm not pencil lipping anything. Like I'm not just breezing through, but I had done I had done a lot of research on Amazon. So like leadership principles, I was like, got this. Like, don't even need to worry about it. Like, yeah, check. Um, and I had done a lot of research on my position, so I knew a lot about it coming in. So what was supposed to take me the first month of doing like my essay, like
First day.
study, like seriously, like within a week, I was like, all right, I'm done. And so I had an interview with my skip during my first week, and she was like, "How are things going?" And I was like, "Well, it's slow." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, well, your process is slow. Like I don't think this should take 30 days. Like, I'm being honest with you. I have everything you needed me to have done in my first 30 days done within a week. And I had like it just did not come across well. So now my skip, who this is my first time talking to her, by the way. Like she had been talking about how she enjoyed radical candor, and she wanted to have the pushback. So I was like, she wants radical candor. I'm going to tell her process is broken. So maybe not the best way to come across to your skip the first time you talk to them. And then she was like, "Well, I have concerns. Like now, I'm concerned that maybe this isn't the right role for you. Like it's not like maybe you should have been looking as more of a management role because some of that came up during that discussion." And I was like, "Look, like I promise you, I'm focused on the things you want me focused on. We're aligned. It's just like I did a lot of preparation for this beforehand, and I'm like ready to move on to the next thing." And so she didn't believe me. And so she was super concerned. Um, and so when it came down time for like that first, like almost like graded check during the onboarding, we call it like, for us, it's called an AC1, Awesome CSM1. Um, it was a graded assignment where like I had to write like a 1 page narrative and talk about like what the CSM role was, all those things that I said I had done in a week. I got graded on it. And so I had this paper due, and it was supposed to be like with my internal team and maybe my boss. Well, my skip shows up, and and she is grilling me on it. So the good thing was, I was able to answer all of her questions. I was able to prove that I was capable of doing the job and that we were aligned. But really, what I ended up finding out was her biggest concern was that she thought I was going to burn myself out. She thought like, okay, well, this guy actually did do all the work in a week. It was supposed to take a month. Do I want somebody working for me that isn't going to pace themselves and is going to work themselves into the ground to the point where they quit? And so that's a huge concern with prior military guys because we do that in the military. Like we're under resourced. We have a mission that's a no fail mission. So it's like you figure out how to make do with the resources you have. And so when you carry that in with you in the outside, they look at you as a risk. They're like, well, now this person is running a risk of burning out and leaving us, having to hire somebody new and spin them up down however many months that they spent into me. And let's say I do succeed and I'm trying to just go above and beyond. I'm working weekends, I'm working evenings. And I'm not saying it's like this with every team, but with my leadership, they were like, well, if you're pulling that kind of weight, then I'm not resourced correctly. Maybe I need another position. I need more headcount, which before this year was okay. They could ask for more headcount, but yeah. But yeah, they looked at me as a risk, and so that was something that I had to check myself on.
Yeah, and I think, something that I wanna add to that, that, I think that people don't think about in the military is, like, uh, we are very much so not just your primary role type people. You just take whatever is given to you, like, you show up and you're a first line supervisor, or you show up and you're an individual contributor. You're in the military, we just get all this added stuff too, like, you're a programmer, but you're also the facility manager, and you're also doing PT tests, and you're also doing this, or like you're an officer, but you're also the safety rep for the squadron, and you're also this, and you're also that. And we're really used to grabbing a significant amount of additional, I don't even want to say authority, but sometimes, yeah, additional authority or additional tasks. And we just feel like that's what we need to do. And so something that I've really struggled with is like someone's like, here's your job. And I'm like, this is a single threaded task. And they're like, and that's what we hired you to do. And I'm like, and so then I'm like, well, this can't be it. This literally cannot be the only thing. Like, when are you going to tell me that I'm in charge of PT testing the rest of the consultants in the group or something like that? So, um, when you're getting out for your first job, just be really aware, like, when they say they're hiring you to do this one job,
Yeah, yeah,
that's it. Like, that's generally it. And, even if you, like, believe them or internalize that, it's really hard to actually believe and internalize it. So, just understand that that's just another piece of separating your identity from, like, military you to, like, civilian you. Like, we're just used to taking and taking and taking and taking, and then also telling people that their processes are busted, and, that's just not what it is out here, and, that takes an adjustment period.